Now, I don't know anything about any of this, okay? This is purely not even a novice just jumping into this. Look at that. I have a fun video for this, and I was beginning to do it. It's of my own work, but why not make it about this? Kind of keeping in the theme of God, creator, from the last video, I want to talk about something that I just learned about. So, I would say a disclaimer, but there's no one watching these, so, but I'll do it anyway. There is no visuals. I'm not gonna have crazy, you know, like if I'm talking and reading on a screen, I don't see the point of showing you what I'm reading. You're just gonna have to just listen. So, with all that being said, I guess I'll just jump right into it. Here's the thing that I've been learning about, and that is Celtic Titans. I never really knew that that existed until yesterday. And it's amazing to I don't know, man. It blows my fucking mind sometimes. The connection that I had with those are noticing similarities of different cultures. So you have like the Norse mythology when it comes to, I don't know what they're called, and I don't even know how to pronounce it. Aesir and Vanir? I don't know. But like they're gods and titans and all that stuff. There's a war between the gods in Norse mythology. And obviously the one that's in Greek mythology too is that would be, you know, the titans and the Greek gods and all that stuff. So like Venus and, or not Venus, sorry, Jupiter and forgot his wife's name. But you know, them versus Titans and Kronos or whoever. Apparently this is in Celtic mythology as well. So what I've been doing is I've been kind of studying it, because I'm trying to block up my work schedule for the book. And so I have a study session, then I'll work on something, and then I'll make a video. Doesn't matter the order. But the study session and the work, or on the video, kind of coincide. So at least I'm going to keep myself on schedule. I'm going to try to do this twice a week. It's always Tuesday's the heavy day, and Wednesday is the lighter day. It's the day to just catch up, finish things up, maybe work on this again, jump back in, color it, and draw it. That's kind of what I'm going to try to do going forward. If I make myself a schedule, maybe I'll honor it. So instead of coming in here and doing nothing, it is an office, so it needs to be used as such. Anyway, so back to it. The Fomorians is what they're called. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. They are a supernatural race in Irish mythology who are often portrayed as hostile and monstrous beings. Originally, they were said to have come from under the sea or the earth. Later, they were portrayed as sea raiders and giants. They are enemy of Ireland's first settlers and opponents of, and okay, I'm not going to say any of this right. It's just, don't trust that's how you say it. Tuath de Danann? I don't know. The other supernatural race in Irish mythology, although some members of the two races have had offspring. The Tuath de, which is shortened I guess, defeated the Fomorians in the Battle of Mag Tuired, Tuired. This has been linked to other Indo-European myths between the War of the Gods. So, they are enemies of Ireland's first settlers. The first settlers are known as, well, okay, Labor Gabala Erin, known in English as the Book of Invasions, is a collection of poems and prose narratives in the Irish language intended to be a history of Ireland, and in the Irish from the creation of the world to the Middle Ages. Kind of cool, man. I gotta find that, so I'm gonna actually, the Book of Invasions, I'm gonna copy that, because that's something that's amazing to me. Like, this is opening up a whole world of something that just feels right. Anyway, okay, where to go? I want to open this in a new tab. In Old and Middle Irish, the name is usually called the Fomori. An individual is called Fomori. I don't know. Fomor? Oh my. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Okay. The name. Okay, so apparently the name means something like the undersea ones, according to a source. This was the interpretation offered by some medieval Irish writers, although a suggestion is that it comes from more, great, big, and means something like the great underworld ones, the underworld giants, the nether giants. And a third suggestion, which is more support among scholars, is that it comes from the hypothetical Old Irish term for demon or phantom, found the name of Morrigan, and cognate with the archaic English word mare, which survives in nightmare. The name would thus mean something like underworld demons phantoms, or nether demon phantoms. Kind of crazy if you think about it. Like, the idea of an under and above, which is seen in many philosophies, religious kind of views of pantheons and of gods and all that stuff. So, from my understanding, what I've been gathering, the way that these are these under beings, nightmare beings, or not nightmare, phantoms or shit. You know what I mean? Dark, bad things that come from under the earth or under the waters. It's kind of interesting how that's born and stuff, and like, you know, where did that come from and why did it come from? Like, what was the thing that motivated these stories? Because I mean, as you know, as like someone that is making a story, I can attest to the idea that a story is made to teach, to guide, to enthrall, and it's just also to show, you could say philosophies, but also like what it's in archetypes and stuff like that, how to be a good person or whatever it is. They're meant to teach. So if you look at old ancient stories, you know, you go back, and it's amazing that there are people that in their families, they'll still tell stories that their ancestors would say, and it gets passed down like it's a lost art. It's really kind of crazy. I think that's what a writer is. I think that there's that DNA part of you, like I found out my grandmother wrote, great-grandmother. I didn't know that. You know, like who wrote before? We don't know. We never kept in touch with all this shit. So why am I drawn to it? I think it's part of that. And so when I think about like how these old stories of the Fomorians and all that stuff, like what does that represent? Look at the Greek stories too. Look at the Norse ones, Egyptian gods and all that stuff, Indian and all. There's this strange concept of a pantheon of gods. Now, one could say that it's copied from each other, but it's hard to fucking prove that. You know what I mean? You can't just prove like, well, I thought of it, so then I heard, you know, he copied me. Like, you don't know that. It's too hard to assume. I believe, I think I've talked about it before, that it all comes from somewhere true. That there were these groups of people that once lived in this world, and we see the aftermath of them with mysteries, like the pyramids, for instance, or any sort of structural things that just don't make sense today. Like that one in India that was carved out of in a mountain almost, and the room is perfectly symmetrical, or the one that's down in South America where it's exactly a meter, and they're like, well, the meter wasn't invented until the 1730s or whatever they said, or 1830s, I don't remember. And how could they have done that? There was no way, but there's fucking proof of it. The way it's constructed, they can't understand it. That could just be remnants of these ancient peoples, right? That's an older conspiracy theory, if you want to call it that. But I do think it lends to it is we would look at them as gods, you know? I mean, if our race crumbled, which it will, probably in my lifetime. But when that happens, they're not going to look back and think like, okay, like they're just regular people. Like, no, they're going to think, holy fuck, what they were capable of, and it's crazy. And they'll see shit like this and they won't even know what the fuck this is, and they'll find out there's memories stored on here, and it'll blow their minds. They'll think it's God's, you know, like, why wouldn't that be? And the world is collecting the water again. So anyway, these stories, it's just interesting to imagine the birth of them. Never have that answer, especially anything Celtic, man. There is no record of that shit. It's like heartbreaking. It's the worst part of, I mean, it's one of the reasons why it's so fascinating to me, is because there's so little known about it. You know, it's shitty. And a lot of it's only based out of the Middle Ages and stuff, like with the Celtic beliefs and all that. God knows where that was that from before? We don't know. Any whizzles. Where was I? Originally, the Fomorians seem to have been regarded as malevolent spirits dwelling underwater and in the nether regions of the earth. One of the earliest references to them, probably 7th century elegy from Mes Talman, they are said to dwell under the worlds of men. Later they were portrayed as sea raiders. This was influenced by Viking raids on Ireland that were taking place around that time. Of course, like, you know, stories are involved with the time that they're in, you know, like you read my book, you'll definitely find parallels to what's going on during its writing. It's kind of a way to capture history, and I think even going through old historical sources, what is it, Herodotus? Was he one of the most famous first historians? I don't remember if it was him or someone else. Or going forward to like Diodorus and all that stuff, like, it's still written like fantasy, and I think that's part of it. Remembering our past with fantastical stories and stuff, you know, like I'm sure King Arthur and all that stuff, I'm sure it happened in its own way, or any other of the famous kind of old stories and stuff. It makes too much sense to me as a writer, is what I'm trying to say. It makes way too much sense to assume that. I don't need to prove anything. It's just, as what I've been doing, much like the previous video, I said how it helped me find the creator. Writing like this definitely helps me understand what the humans do. I don't know why. I don't know why. This is part of what it is. They are often portrayed as monstrous. Sometimes they are said to have the body of a man and the head of a goat. Interesting, isn't it? According to 11th century text in Lebor na... I don't even know what that says, but it's called the Book of Duncow. Or to have one eye, one arm, one leg. However, those Fomorians who have relationships with Tuatha, such as Elatha and Sun Breast, are portrayed as darkly beautiful. Again, influencing what is happening now and what came from it. You have the creation of Christianity, right? And that was going on. And it's interesting, I don't know what influenced what, but the idea of the body of a man, the head of a goat, these monstrous beings and stuff, at least one of them was described in such a way. According to this right here, it's a manuscript from the 12th century, the oldest extant manuscript in Irish. Oh wow, at least they have it, but it's badly damaged. That sucks. But anyway, it's you could see like where there are parallels to it. Like when they talk about creating Christianity for the Celtic peoples, and they let them keep some of their Celtic beliefs and myths and stuff to let them use it in Christianity to keep them Christian. Like the idea of, I don't know how true this is just me assuming, the idea of like Christmas or kind of Halloween, but that's not really a Catholic thing. I meant not Halloween, why did I say that? Easter. But they use Christian things for it, and that's become like canonized. Human beings do the same shit. You know what I mean? I see it all over the place. Again, not just with my book, but with everything. When you look at the Star Wars universe, when you look at the Lord of the Rings universe and all that stuff, or what is that, 40K or whatever that is. Like, people want to install certain things that make it better. They like the world, they want it to be more believable. Not only that, but they also try to find ways to honor something within their lives. I made this up a long time ago, I want to put that in here, you know, and then like, or I want to honor this culture, so like these people are kind of Egyptian-like, or whatever it is. Like, we do that, and I just see it as like proof to me of, you look at Christianity and you see all these things that it took from pagans. The whole concept of the entire body of the temple or church, it's this idea of it's a living thing. It's not a dead place. It's not a place to gather. It is an actual entity. There are so many things like that. The House of Life, for instance, in some pagan beliefs and all that stuff. It's definitely taking ideas and adding to it. And so it's interesting to see the body of man and the head of a goat in that 11th century text. Well, it says 12th century, so I don't know which is right. But anyway, that's so late in history. They are the enemies of Ireland's first settlers in the supernatural Tuatha, with whom they are contrasted. However, in some sources, an overlap between the Fomorians and the Tuatha. A figure called Tethra is named as presiding over both races. So who's Tethra? I'm assuming that's probably not how you say it. Tethra of the Fomorians ruled Mag Mell after dying in the second battle of Mag Tuired. And after the battle, his sword, Oma, was taken by Ogma, and it then recounted everything it had done. How fucking creepy, weird is that? That's just like a really weird idea. There is not much known about this, but Tethra may have been derived from Proto-Indo-European, meaning quacking sound. Tethra means both sea and scald crow. Okay. Anyway, this person, Tethra, could have presided over both peoples, but ruled over Mag Mell. What is Mag Mell? Oh, God. Well, where'd it go? None of these stayed open. Mag Mell, there's so little known about this. Like, if you go to, like, I know Wikipedia is not a place to find real things, because it was, I mean, growing up, it was always like, don't trust it. You know what I mean? Never. Nowadays, it's weird. I was always told not to trust it. But anyway, in Irish mythology, Mag Mell means delightful plain. This is really cool. Like, this is the kind of weird stuff that I would find coinciding with what I was making in my book. It's one of the names for the Celtic otherworld, a mythical realm achievable through death and or glory. Unlike the underworld in some mythologies, Mag Mell was a pleasurable paradise, identified as either an island far to the west of Ireland or a kingdom beneath the ocean. However, Mag Mell was similar to the Fields of Elysium in Greek mythology, and like the Fields of Elysium, was accessible only for a select few. Furthermore, Mag Mell, like numerous other mystical islands said to be off the coast of Ireland, was never explicitly stated in any surviving mythological accounts to be an afterlife. Rather, it is usually portrayed as a paradise populated by deities, which is occasionally visited by some adventurous mortals. In its island guise, it was visited by various Irish heroes, monks, forming the basis of adventure myth, or Echtrae? We're going to say Echtrae? It's Echtrae. The other world is a place where sickness and death do not exist. It is a place of eternal youth and beauty. Here, music, strength, life, and all pleasure pursuits come together in a single place. Happiness lasts forever. No one wants for food or drink. It is the Irish equivalent of Elysium or Valhalla, so it's just this perfect place. It's weird how human beings, we need that perfection. We need that place of perfection after, it's really lent to a lot of beliefs that we have. We have this place of toil, this place of hell. I remember talking about Billy, this place of these were his words actually. a place of oh God, a place that is degrading, and everything falls apart and is destroyed. Nothing lasts here. And then you always have this belief throughout history that there's going to be the next place, which is so much better. It's so nice because we'll leave here, and there it's great. Like, it's interesting to think about that. And certain cultures say you have to earn it, and other cultures, in whatever way, actually. So, like, earn it by being a good person, by being forgiven for your sins, being a good warrior, mighty deeds and all that stuff. It's like you have to have mattered in the world that is degrading. I say degradation, but I don't remember what that word means. But anyway, the world that you're being slowly destroyed, you need to have mattered culturally before you go on to the next place, which is assumably a perfect place. At least that's how it's described. So that thing I said about that weird word that you have to go, there's the myth of going to these places. That, I really wish there was like how to pronounce it next to it. Ectre. It's a pre-Christian Old Irish word about a hero's adventure in the other world with otherworldly beings. So you have the you have the oh God, Fomorians, and then you have the other people. They had a war at one point, but there was a person that was leader of both of them named Tethra. Tethra was killed in a battle between those two, called the Battle of Mag Tured. Refers to two separate battles in Connacht. The first in the territory of fucking A, near someplace. My God. Those Welsh looking words and Irish words. Man, I can't read that. I can't even channel my ancestry to read it. But there was a battle between these gods and shit, right? He was killed there, and then he became the ruler of Magmel, which is the other worlds. It's not really defined like how many other worlds there are. Is it an entire place, but there's different planes of existence upon this place? I don't fucking know. But Tethra ruled over this place. Now, mortals, not only that, before that, I'd say it's a place where other deities live and stuff. The Magmel, Celtic Otherworld. So we go to Celtic Otherworld, and there's a realm of deities and possibly also the dead. In Gaelic and Brittonic myth, it is usually a supernatural realm of everlasting youth, beauty, health, and abundance of joy. It is described either as a parallel world that exists along our own, or as a heavenly land beyond the sea or under the earth. You can see that weird parallel with that and fucking the Fomorians and shit like that. Now, the purpose of the Fomorians, I don't know. I haven't discovered that yet. It's usually elusive, but various mythical heroes visited either through through chance, or after being invited by one of the residents. They often reach it by entering ancient burial mounds or caves, or going underwater or across the western sea. Sometimes they suddenly find themselves in the other world, with the appearance of a magic mist, supernatural being, or unusual animal. Let's look at magic mist in a minute. An otherworldly woman may invite the hero into the other world by offering an apple, or a silver apple branch, or a ball of thread to follow as it unwinds. Interesting about the apple, you know what I mean? And the other world being this place like in Eden, because that description to me sounds like Eden, place of perfection and stuff like that. Funny enough, Eden has its story in Greek mythology too. It's not Eden though, it's some other place where Jupiter and his wife, I don't remember her name, were once in a place like that too, and then you see, Jewish beliefs and later adopted by Christians and all that stuff. Interesting. Very interesting. There's the strange little connections to it. Now, the Celtic connection to it is much different. It's like this is a place that are for these people who could have connection, like these Fomorians, and more like the other ones, I can't say their name, they're Celtic gods, we'll just say, could have connection between the peoples of the Bible, I think. It wouldn't surprise me. Do I really believe that? I don't know, but I don't know, man. I just, you think Adam and Eve and then their kin that all came from them, I think that perhaps, man, they are the gods, or like chosen race, higher beings and stuff like that. Look at like Cain and Abel and like Noah's children and stuff like that. And after the flood, they all separated their own ways and stuff like that. We don't really know. We like to think like that's just fun stories, but I don't think so, man. I'm sick of that like modern thought. They're just stories. Like, just because I'm a storyteller, that's why I don't believe. That's so much bullshit. Like, it's insulting. You know what I mean? Like, people devote that much energy for just a fun story. No, that's not how that works. This story might never be known that I'm writing, but to have someone look down on and say, like, it's just a fun little fantasy story that people really like it's so much more than that. There's so much truth inside of it, masked in fantastical elements and stuff like that. You know, I just despise it. You know, maybe I believed it at one time too. I don't really remember when I was young, but I think that's very ignorant to just assume things like that are stories, or not take seriously the accounts of people's. Oh my God, there's a lot. So let's look at the magic mist. And we're not going to use the Irish way to pronounce it because I can't. And this is also my book, which is weird. I didn't know it until just now. I'm kind of creeped out. But it's a magical mist or veil in Irish mythology, which members of Tuath de Danann, I don't know, those are the gods, used to enshroud themselves, rendering their presence invisible to human eyesight. This mist in particular, and Fiada, originally meant knower. They came to mean Lord, Master, Possessor. An example of usage occurs in fosterage of the house of 2 milk vessels, where this person makes an assignment to each member as to which fairy mound they should dwell in, raising the Feth Fiada to conceal themselves from mortal men. In the Labor Gabala Aaron, one passage declares that these gods came without ships or barks, in clouds of fog over the air by their might of druidity. But an ensuing passage soon after offers a rational explanation. It was as a sea expedition they came to Ireland and burned their ships. It was owing to the fog of smoke that rose from them, and they were burning all the others have said. God, it's hard to read that. They were burning that others have said that they came in a fog of smoke. So that's like, no, they didn't. They burned their ships, and that was the fog. Like, there's a difference between fog and smoke. I'm pretty confident in that one. Oh boy. So this fog, this the thing that they use to hide themselves in when they're within our world, it sounds like. Interesting. Eowyn is what it's usually called in Welsh mythology. Avalon in Arthurian legend. It has several names, including ones that I cannot pronounce, where the souls of dead gather. Interesting. Okay, so they have many names according to Irish mythology, like the Other Land, Land of Promise, Promised Land, Land of the Young, Land of Youth, Land Under the Wave, Land of the Living, Plain of Delight, the white silver plane, the silver cloud plane, the multicolored plane, the gentle plane, possibly Isle of Apples. It is described as a supernatural realm where there is everlasting youth, beauty, health, and abundance of joy, and where time moves differently. It is the dwelling place of the gods, as well as certain heroes and ancestors. It was probably similar to Elysium of Greek mythology. It's an elusive but various mythical heroes, such as a couple guys there, visit either through chance or after being invited. Irish myth and later folklore. Okay. The festivals of Samhain and Beltane, and I can't tell if it's an I or an L, Iminel times, where they were contacted. I think that there's a possibility of something that we experience as people, like just us, and like, you know, like for instance, deja vu. You experience that, or if you get really invested in something. I think most people only notice it when they're super baked. When you just kind of like feel something different, you feel like you've locked into something, and the world around you seems to kind of get strange and stuff like that. I mean, I felt that without being high, obviously. I'll have it in my book and stuff where I feel like I'm falling into something and the world around me kind of shimmers and becomes something quite different for a little bit. I think that it's something to do with that, most likely. You know, like the idea that, I wish I could explain that feeling I'm talking about, where it's, I feel as if when you sit there long enough and you're focusing on something and your sight kind of changes. Your eyes focus and the world seems to just melt away, right? And, you know, there's explanation for that when it comes to your biology or whatever. We're not talking about that. But I think it's something like that. But it's not your eyes, it's your mind. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. It just feels like you lock into something and the world seems to dissipate. Or if you're with someone that you really like or you have a connection with, and it just feels like the world's gone for a while. I think that it has something to do with that. These interesting explanations for it, this other world. And I'm assuming you could feel it with religious experiences. I don't think I've ever had a religious experience like that in my life, so I don't know. But I kind of feel like dreams and the living dream play a part in it. And I've had living dreams where you're completely awake, or you fantasize about things. In the tales, the other world is often reached by entering ancient burial mounds. They were known as otherworld dwellings, and they were the dwellings of the gods, later called otherworld folk. See, this is the weird part, because in my book, I call them the forgotten people. And they live in this other realm. And then they were once folk from here. So the Irish mythologies say the gods retreated into these places when the Gaels took Ireland from them. In some tales, the other world is reached by going under the waters or pools, lakes, or the sea, or else by crossing the Western Sea. Now, you do see it in weird crossings of water where there's like spears and shit thrown into it. Maybe there's offerings. Who knows? Who fucking knows? In Irish Imarama, which is voyage tales, a beautiful young otherworld woman often approaches a hero and sings to him in his happy land, of this happy land. Sometimes she offers him an apple or a promise of her love in exchange for the help in battle. He follows her, and they journey over the sea together and are seen no more. Their journey may be in a boat of glass, in a chariot, or on horseback, usually on a white horse. And in the case of the goddess Niam, of the golden hair. Sometimes a hero returns after what he believes is a short time, only to find that he and all his companions are dead, and he has actually been away for hundreds of years. Sometimes a hero sets out on a quest, and a magic mist descends upon him, that mist. He may find himself before an unusual place and enter to find a warrior or a beautiful woman to make him welcome. The woman may be the goddess Fand. The warrior may be Manlir. And after strange adventures, the hero may return successfully. However, even when the mortal manages to return in his own time and place, he is forever changed by his contact with the other world. It seems to be this strange place, and I mean, we're just getting to the other world, and that's the place where these fucking these gods inhabit. How big is it? Again, are there different planes within this realm? I don't know. I mean, oh, God, I'm always yawning whenever I use my mind, and then my throat gets all tight. It's kind of crazy. So let's go back to those people. Right here, make sure that you're skipping forward, because we don't know where we were at. Okay, so it's the 12th day Danan, or however you pronounce that. The folk of the goddess Danu. So they're the tribe of the gods, a supernatural race. Many of them are thought to represent deities. So it's hard to say if they do or do not. Now they're the folk of the goddess Danu. They're the mother goddess, she is. What is she, like Gaia or something? Yeah, she's like some sort of goddess of, like, a water goddess, maybe? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, make sure you're skipping here. They are depicted as kings, queens, druids, bards, warriors, heroes, healers, and craftsmen who have supernatural powers. They dwell in the other world but interact with humans and the human world. These are kind of like my Aeon. Well, yeah, they're kind of like my Aeon. They are associated with the Saidi, prominent ancient burial mounds such as this place. So they live in these burial mounds, or like they use them or something. They're associated with burial mounds for entrances to the other world. Traditional rivals are the Fomorians, who might represent the destructive power of nature. Fomorians seem more natural world stuff, and these people are more like gods separate from the natural world. My goodness. Eventually, they defeat the Fomorians in the Battle of Mag Turid. Prominent members of the 12th day include the Dagda, the Great God, the Morrigan, the Great Queen, or Phantom Queen, Lu, Nuada, Angus, Brigid, Manenon, Dian Kekt, the Healer, and Goibnu, the Smith, one of the Tree De Danan, three gods of craft. There is so much to unpack here. Remember, this is not a history lesson by me. This is just me recording myself learning. Several of the 12th day are cognate with ancient Celtic deities. L-U-G-H. I'm going to call them Lug. With Lungus. Bridget with Brigitania, maybe. Brigantia. Nuada is Nodons, and Ogma with Ogmios. Sometimes they are explained as fallen angels who were neither wholly good nor evil, kind of like my Aeon. Or ancient peoples who became highly skilled in magic, kind of like I believe, like I was saying earlier, that they fucking probably are. But several writers acknowledge that at least some of them have been gods. Some of them have multiple names, but in tales they often appear to be different characters. Originally, these probably represented different aspects of the same deity, while others were regional names. Okay. It's amazing to see this. They're supernatural beings, object of worship. They're basically they're their own race of people, kind of like god folk. Irish monks also began using the term to refer to Israelites, meaning people of God. Apparently to avoid confusion with Israelis, writers began to refer to the mythical race as Tuath De Danann or Tuath De Danann. Good gosh, it's like their language is just weird. There's upside down letters and there's fucking weird squigglies all over certain letters, which must mean something. I don't fucking know. And I don't even know how to like jump through the word. So they are immune from aging, sickness, and who have powers of magic. They have control over the weather and the elements, and the ability to shapeshift themselves and other things. They also are said to have control of fertility of the land, and establish friendship with the raised crops and herbs and shit. Oh, the peoples had to do that, the first Gales. They live in the other world. Many of them are associated with specific places of the landscape. It's amazing they would call them fallen angels, too. Neutral angels who sided neither with God nor Lucifer and were punished by being forced to dwell on earth. I'd be like that dude. I'd be like, I'm not on either side, brother. Huh. So, anyway, the Titans, these bad people, fought these good people. These good people lived in the other world and stuff like that. These Titans lived under the ground or under the ocean. They once had a battle. Interesting, it says that the Fomorians were seafarers from the Middle East, descended from Ham, son of Noah. That's fucking crazy to me. How is that even like... The seafarers from the Middle East, son of Ham, Ham, son of Noah. It's the second son of Noah and the father of Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. Fucking A, dude. His descendants are interpreted to have populated Africa and adjoining parts of Asia. The Bible refers to Egypt as the land of Ham. So those are his peoples. Dude, I don't... fucking A. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really think, in all honesty, Noah and all them, you know, and fucking the peoples before, golly, Adam and Eve, I think that they're a higher group of people, and I think that these, you know, Noah's and his children, all this stuff, I think all of them, they're not us. We're not descendant from that. We're separate beings. I mean, I'm almost confident in that. It's just like there's no other way. There's like no other way that it makes sense in my mind, again. And we just have different stories for them. We give them different names, and because we give them different names, they look different in our heads. They're like, well, how can the son of Ham, who looks like an old man, he can't be a Fomorian? You know what I mean? Or like, Fuck, Adam and Eve, they're not the same as the fucking pantheon of gods. How could they be? Those aren't gods. And there's a higher creator to all this, yes, but what we consider gods or immortal beings or people of our legend that are higher up, you know, from Noah and Adam and Eve and all that, to like Jupiter, fucking Gita, I don't know, like anyone that's a higher being, you know, that we would consider a god, like maybe they were just a group of peoples, ancient peoples that were wiped out and only a few survived, and that was after the flood. Because, you know, the flood myth has been carried through many different fucking cultures. I'm not going to go into it and have a whole fucking study. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm just spitballing it, but like, it just makes too much sense to me. It all fits. I mean, I suggest if anyone watches this for whatever reason, just go look into it and you figure it out. But I'm not going to sit here and try to prove any of this because I don't fucking have the energy for that. But I just do look and I notice like there's just so much. There's so much connection to it all. It all fits. And I remember there's this, you know, I heard John Lennon saying anything fits if you want it to fit. That's true. But I don't know. The curse of Ham was not bestowed upon Ham himself, rather, but Noah indirectly cursed him via his son Canaan. According to Abba Arika, Ham castrated Noah on the basis that since Noah cursed Ham by his fourth son Canaan, he must have injured Noah with respect to a fourth son, emasculating him, thus depriving Noah of the possibility of a fourth son. He castrated his own father because he's like, you fucking say shit about my son, I'll cut your fucking balls off, brother. Now you can't have a son, I can't have a brother. I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, there's probably more to it. But the Fomorians, the whole point of this video, which will not be the name of it because we've deviated too much. It's just a hell of a lot, man. I think I'll stop with all that research-wise. I mean, there's only a little bit more, but it kind of keeps reiterating the same things. And then we're talking, then it goes in the, well, in the medieval period, this is what it became. And it's getting into that a little bit. And then some stories and stuff, but this is just something I didn't know existed. There was a pantheon of Celtic gods. There's a pantheon of Greek gods. There's a pantheon of Norse gods. It sounds like there's a pantheon of Egyptian gods, but I don't know. There's just a lot of them. And I've heard that there is one of Jewish gods. I think to me that is, when I wrote this book, I had the peoples. Then I had the higher ones. But I was like, well, there's always a higher than a higher, so I had the ones higher than that. And then from that, there are beings, and then those beings are all under a creator. And it just happened that way. So, for instance, you have the Inaku. And the Inaku were created, well, they were helped by the Titans. The Titans came from another realm. Go to the Aeon's people, the humans. The humans were made by the Aeon. The Aeon were a race of people from the other realm, just like the Titans. The Aeon killed the Titans. The Aeon replaced them. Well, they killed a lot of them. There was a great war, and most Aeons died as well. There was a group called the Niniran who were sent in to destroy the Aeon. The Niniran work for the overseers or the observers or the shadow ones, whatever word that feels right that day. all those higher beings are just regular fucking people in another realm. They're just, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like hearing about, like, oh, well, this group of people, you know, we're fighting that group of people, and then that affects these thousands, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's over across the sea. Like, that's all this is. The Aeon, the Titans, the Observers, the Nainiran, they're just peoples that come to the realm of life, and to the people of the Aeon, they're like gods. They're like mighty beings and shit, but in reality, they're like just regular. And they all have a hierarchy that I still haven't written yet. I'll be honest, I haven't even gotten that far. There's a hierarchy within the other realm. And then there's a creator. This creator has never seen this realm that they're working on yet. And I think that's the fear that some of these, like the Aeon had for a while. The Titans really had Theis, the leader Titan. This is all my lore, by the way. This is not real. Theis, the leader Titan, did believe that the creator would eventually see it and stuff. And it's just, there's a whole fucking thing. But to the little peoples, they seem massive and mighty. So when I did all that, and then I go over here and I discover these things of the Celtic myths and the Greek myths and all that stuff, and I get enveloped into it totally, I see correlations to it. You know, the peoples that, let's just call them the higher people, from Adam and Eve all the way to Noah and further, and Ham, and all Noah's children and all their children's children, those are the next tier up. And then from that, there's another tier. And I would say that those are the gods that you would see, like the pantheon, many pantheons of. Then from that, you go to the next area. So for instance, in Celtic peoples, regular peoples, next tier up are like the, from what I understand so far, it's these, I forgot the names of them already, but they're gods and titans and all that shit. In Greek mythology, which is a little bit more known, so it'd be like regular peoples, like anti-heroes, and like, you know, like Heracles and all that shit. Like, that's the second tier up. It's like, you know, they're correlated with the same as like Noah and all them stuff. Then the next tier is what they would consider gods, which are just higher peoples. Then there's something after that. I think it's in all cultures. I can't give examples because I'm not a historian. I'm not like, I'm not one who studies this stuff and has degrees in it. So I don't really, I'm just a guy trying to make stories, but I do definitely see a lot of correlations in all of this stuff. Everything just seems to fit. And I didn't know most of this when I started my stuff. It just kind of happened, you know. I was like, well, there's got to be a higher than that. It's not just like people and a god. There's no way. You know, like, there has to be more. There's always more, you know, and you know, maybe our stories just confuse it and we don't want to admit it. Who knows? Maybe what I'm doing is paganism and it's all blasphemous and this is all devil shit. I don't fucking know. It may be, because I don't get anything positive from it. I don't feel good after all this stuff. I do feel something looming over me. But that was a little video. Well, it wasn't little. I wanted to kind of just, oh God, I'm going to edit it. Oh. I wanted to kind of just look into that, and I figured why not kill two birds with one stone. While we study them, we also make a video. Then after this, I'm going to take all this information and I'm going to start working on the Hefel people and see what I can kind of, with all this newfound stuff, I want to see what I can produce with them. So far, we have the culture of the Hefel, or the people of the silent god. It's like, what the fuck is that? I think that coincides with the green man, which is creepy in a weird way. But that's that.